What's up you guys, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Now fun fact of the day, I have a really bad Chatterphobia or Phobia, whichever you choose to call it. That's an extreme fear of sharks, and I'm pretty sure it's because my sisters made me watch every great white shark movie ever when I was like 6 years old. Traumatic event. It's so bad, like I can't even be in a pool alone. Once when I was small I really had to poop, but you know those toilet cleaners that you put in the tank and then you flush it and it makes the toilet water clean and bubbly? Well, I refused to use the bathroom because I couldn't see past the bubbles and I was scared a shark was just gonna come up from there and eat me. My dad had to supervise the whole event. Either way, it's really bad, and here are a few more. The lovely Miss Rebecca hit you with part 1, and so here are the top 10 scary phobias that you might have, part 2. You guys, we did the What's in the Box challenge on our Facebook page. Check out this clip right now. And if you want to see more like it, head over to our Facebook page. It's gonna be in the link in the bio below. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of crazy challenges on Facebook. It's exclusive, you can't find it on YouTube, so check it out. Ew! What the hell is this?
Oh, is it like cat food or dog food or something? Aww.
No, it's not alive.
Starting us off with number 10 is optophobia. Now optophobia is actually the extreme fear of opening one's eyes. It can be caused by some sort of traumatic event that occurred previously, like they saw something so horrific it just scarred them for life, or it could be due to some internal factors like genetics. A lot of phobic people are terrified to open their eyes because they're convinced they'll see the one thing they fear the most, whatever that may be. Someone with the phobia on Reddit said it's like when you cover your eyes during a scary movie because you're scared of what's coming next, except it's just that perpetual feeling all the time. Most phobic people just keep their eyes shut and will maybe open them for a brief second once in a while. I can't even imagine what someone with that would go through. They feel extremely anxious when thinking about opening their eyes. They feel like they have to do everything possible to avoid opening them, and sometimes their anxiety over it can be so bad they won't even be able to function. Like imagine never wanting to see what's in front of you or just being so afraid to do so. I feel like that would be very debilitating. Coming in at number 9 is Iike Phobia. Now Iike Phobia is the fear of home surroundings or a home, even the contents of a house or even household appliances. Now this may not seem like such a bad one, but imagine how distressing that must be for someone who is phobic. Not even being able to be in a home, their own home, every day or every night after work. It completely interferes with their daily lives. A lot of phobic people have no idea how they developed the fear. Others remember events like burning their hand on a kitchen stove as a kid, so now they must avoid it at all costs. Some kids have seen horrible accidents or deaths taking place in a home, and that could also lead to a permanent excessive fear of being inside a house. Phobic people, if in a house, start feeling like they're being smothered and they get this very tight feeling in their chest. Some feel like they're choking or about to vomit or die or just lose control. At number 8 we have Chatterphobia. This is the extreme fear of mirrors or seeing your own reflection in them. It's a highly personalized phobia, and some are afraid of themselves reflected words, or the mirrors linked to the supernatural. Which I mean is fair enough, mirrors have always been linked to religious rituals and superstitions for a long ass time. According to ancient belief, a mirror reflects a person's soul. Superstition wise, we've all heard that someone will get 7 years of bad luck if they break a mirror. Some phobic people think they'll be pulled into the mirror by some preternatural force. Some people are just scared of reflected material in general, whereas others are terrified of how mirrors distort the reflected item, making it look weirdly unnatural. And I get it. Sometimes I feel like you will just see things in a mirror that aren't really there and you're like, oh, what was that? Filling our number 7 slot is Phobophobia. This one's a bit of an oxymoron because it's the phobia of fear itself, the fear of being scared of some situation or object. Phobic people get overwhelmed with extreme anxiety when the thought of letting themselves become afraid of an object or situation enters their brain. It's extremely self-limiting and self-replicating in the sense that if they already have this phobia, they might develop more and then continue fearing the thought of developing more. Phobophobia is more likely amongst people with existing anxiety disorders, and the phobia itself originates from a panic disorder. This one is completely internally triggered as opposed to being triggered by an external factor like a traumatic event. Physical symptoms of the phobia include dry mouth, nausea, wanting to escape, uncontrollable shaking, shaking and sweating, hysterical behavior, and so forth. Internal symptoms include the phobic person having visions of death or dying and feeling like they are genuinely having a heart attack. Now, number 6 is Chatterphobia. This is the persistent abnormal fear of hair, whether that's the person's own hair, seeing loose hairs on furniture or clothes, or even animal hair. Unlike the general population who try to invest but never properly invest in great hair care products, phobic people want absolutely nothing to do with hair. They avoid places like salons and barbershops like the plague and will literally have a full-blown panic attack at the sight of hair anywhere. The fear comes from believing the hair is going to harm them, and most of them know they're being very irrational, but it's also well out of their control, as are most phobias. I feel like if the person had control of the phobia, they wouldn't have the phobia, just saying. It's believed people with this phobia really believe hair is dirty or has a lot of germs, and so if you come in contact with it, it could get you fatally ill. Other external trigger points could be a traumatic event that involved a very hairy person, or internal trigger points like already having OCD and feeling extremely disgusted at hair being anywhere around you. Symptoms include trembling at the sight of hair, feeling nauseous, thinking about hair all the time, so much so that you're detached from reality, and cleaning obsessively so there's no hair anywhere. I feel like maybe, and I can't speak on this ignorantly, but I feel like, you know, when you're in the shower and you have a hair on you and it just feels disgusting, I feel like that's how the person must feel, but all the time. Coming in at number 5 is Buteraphobia. Now this is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of one's mouth. So again, very specific, but it's also not the phobia of peanut butter itself. Scientists believe this phobia is more rooted in the fear of choking or sticky textures, but can very well be an isolated thing as well. Now the phobia varies in intensity like any other phobia. Some people can eat peanut butter as a dip with something else, others can't eat it at all, and some can't even eat anything that contains peanut butter like ice cream. It can be traced to someone already having a peanut allergy and then wanting to avoid peanut butter from there, but that's not always the case. Maybe the phobic person nearly choked on it as a kid, because contrary to popular belief, choking on peanut butter is very damn common. I did not know that. At number 4 is somnophobia. Now I'm sure you can guess this one from the name. It's the irrational fear of sleeping or falling asleep, which is actually very dangerous since sleeping is one of the bare necessities of life. Researchers believe the fear stems from the fear of the unknown. The phobic person is terrified of what they may see or what may happen if they fall asleep, since they will no longer be in control. Some are afraid of nightmares, whilst others are terrified they won't be able to hear their loved ones call out to them while they're asleep. Sleepwalking is also one of the causes of this phobia because people tend to do things they aren't conscious of in this state. Death is also known as the big sleep, so phobic people feel very terrified that during sleep that they just could die any minute. Others sleep talk and feel vulnerable because they don't know what they're saying. Sleep paralysis is also a cause, and people who are anxious and already find it hard falling asleep will get more anxiety after a nightmare and then become sleep panicky, and then the cycle will just continue. The symptoms are pretty obvious. They include inability to concentrate, reduced memory, loss of control, mood swings, fatigue and drowsiness, and so forth. Filling our number 3 slot is Buteraphobia. Now this is the overwhelming uncommon fear of cleaning, bathing or washing. The causes of this phobia aren't completely understood yet. Like the others, this phobic person may have had a traumatic experience involving washing themselves. If one of their parents had it, then they are also most likely to have it as well, and of course changes in their brain functioning can cause it as well. Symptoms include avoidance of bathing and washing, panic attacks, intense anxiety just thinking about it, difficulty breathing, knowing you're being irrational and not being able to stop it as well. This one really would affect the phobic person, since in our world, showering and being clean is something people really value in this society, so phobic people will feel the social ramifications of it very quickly as people distance themselves for smell related reasons, and that could lead to the person isolating themselves altogether. Now at number 2 is Lodox Phobia. This is the irrational fear of hearing other people's opinions. I know, right? I feel like everyone on the internet has this. I'm kidding, I don't want to downplay a phobia. Things are very serious, but I feel like a lot of thoughts are coming to people's minds right now, I'm just saying. Either way, phobic people live in constant anxiety and fear of hearing others' opinions about themselves, and because of that they put restrictions on themselves and isolate themselves, or they just never speak up in situations. Now, this phobia can strike at any age, but many were consistently criticized as children, and that's what it comes from. Abused children are more likely to develop this phobia, as are more passive and sensitive people. Ones who hate hearing criticism because that affects the amygdala, a part of your brain, so in response to that, in order to protect you, it just makes makes you avoid hearing opinions altogether, the media can also trigger it as well, so I mean, let's think about that for a second, right? Symptoms include increased heart rate, getting angry when any opinion is expressed, whether that's good or bad, insecurity, and depression. And finally, at number 1 is phagophobia, and this is the extreme fear of swallowing. The phobic person will continually complain about any situation to do with swallowing, despite no real reason for any discomfort. Now, just to clarify, this is not the same as the fear of choking, because swallowing obviously comes before that. This one is also super dangerous because it can very well lead to a fear of eating, and therefore critical weight loss and malnutrition. In a lot of the cases with this phobia, the person will only eat soft or liquid foods, if any at all. Just imagine you felt a lump in your throat every time you tried to swallow anything, and that you had this constant fear that if you swallow this one thing, you could easily die. Now, this is an excerpt shared by a real person with phagophobia. He shared, "I'm 43 and started having panic attacks about a year ago. I've been having panic attacks daily for nearly 2 months now, and I'm having great difficulty swallowing. At first I could swallow food following each mouthful with water, but it has got worse. I would chew my food as small as I could and end up having to spit it out because no matter how much I told myself to swallow, I just couldn't do it. Now I am just taking liquids. Please help. I can't go on like this. I want to feel normal again." See, like, these phobias are very debilitating. How funny some of them may sound or be, they are really affecting a lot of people. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was informative for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you have any phobias. I actually love to know, although that's not good for you, but I would just like for you to share that with me. Anyway, I've been your host, Ayman Hassan, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!